Hi, friends. It's been a while, but I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join in today's story. This is the English version for the Dragon Girl. All right, let's get right into it. It all started around May when I took my youngest son to visit my older sister in Minnesota. In the ride to Minnesota, I had my master come along with us, but dropped her off at her daughter's house before getting to my sister's house. The sun was beginning to set as I approached my sister's doorsteps and knocked. The kids opened up the door and let me in. They also told me that their mom was at work and that she'll be back later. My sister lives in a 2-story home with a living room and a bedroom in the basement. As soon as I arrived, I started to feel drowsiness. So at that point, I decided to go downstairs to take a nap on their sofa. I just barely fell asleep for a slight moment, and then my guide said to me, "Mom, they're asking who we are and how come we can see them." I asked my guides, "Who are they?" My guides answered, "It has long black hair, so it's definitely not American or Caucasian." And then I asked again, "How long is her hair?" They answered, "Her hair is past her waist. She's wearing a white t-shirt with black glitter designs. It's not skinny or fat, but rather in decent shape. And she looks around 14 to 15 years old. And by the way, she's standing right there staring at us." As soon as they said that, I immediately stood up and my guides mentioned that she ran upstairs. I started running after her up the stairs, forgetting that it was late at night and was thinking that everyone was asleep. Well, apparently, my middle nephew was still up at that time and was playing video games on his computer. When I finally got up the stairs, my middle nephew looked at me strangely and said, "Hi, Auntie. Did you need something?" I felt a little embarrassed and awkward. I didn't want to scare him, so I didn't know what to say. And I just answered, "No, I don't need anything. Auntie, why are you still up running around at this time?" And I answered, "I just came to check and see who might still be up around this time. That's all." He looked at me a bit strange again and asked, "Auntie, what do you really need? Be honest with me." I wasn't sure how to respond to my nephew, so I asked him, "Do you guys have anyone in your family that is around like 14 to maybe 18 years old with long hair that may have just passed recently?" He responded, "No, we don't. Why do you need to know that kind of information?" I responded, "Oh, it's, nothing. Just continue doing whatever you were doing. I'm gonna go back to bed now." At the time I was talking to my nephew, the dad ran back downstairs to the basement. And down in the basement was my sister's son and daughter-in-law's room. By the time I ran back downstairs, my guides told me that the dad was inside their room. I started walking towards the room and tried to open the door, but it was locked. So, I've honestly never seen the inside of their room or been inside there before, so I don't know how it looks like, but my guides told me that their bed was facing the door with their feet pointing towards the window. They also told me that the dad was sitting on their bed curled up with hair covering her face. I just stood outside the door, pacing back and forth, and then I decided to talk to the spirit. I asked her, "Who are you and how did you get into this house?" She responded, "Well, they married me and brought me here." I asked her again, "Who's the one that married you?" She responded, The son who's the owner of this room is the one who married me. I answered, "How did he marry you or bring you home?" She responded, "He said he agreed to marry me, that's why I'm here." I kept trying to persuade the lady to leave, but she refused, so I grabbed my phone and called my sister. When I got a hold of my sister, I told her to come home right away. I explained a little bit to her about the issue and, of what I saw, and then we hung up. My sister finally got home shortly after our conversation, and as soon as she came, we spoke a little bit. Then she told me to just go ahead and remove the entity. That night, the son and daughter-in-law went to sleep at their mother-in-law's house, so they didn't come back home. And as for the entity, she was pretty startled from the whole situation of me chasing her and speaking about her, so she ended up staying inside the room the whole night. I decided to cast a spell to cover everyone that's in the house so that the entity would not bother us or, be able to do anything to us while we're asleep. After I finished the spell, I fell asleep peacefully throughout the night, and when morning came around, my sister's daughter-in-law and her son had already finished cooking breakfast, and this is a different son and daughter-in-law. They were already done making breakfast and setting up the table, and as soon as I made it to the upstairs to where they were, that daughter-in-law asked me, "Auntie, what did you see yesterday? You scared the son while running up the stairs." I was thinking to myself, I'm sure the middle son probably told them about what happened last night. That's why she's questioning me. And then the nya said again, "If you want to know about that little girl running around, you should ask the youngest daughter-in-law once she gets home." I asked, "Oh, have the younger sister-in-law seen this girl before?" The older sister-in-law answered, "Yes. She mentioned she kept dreaming of a girl similar to the one you mentioned. You can talk to her about it. She should know more about it than me." She then takes her phone out of her pocket and started dialing to the younger sister-in-law. As soon as she answers, she hands the phone over to me. I started describing the details of the spirit that I saw. I explained that this lady had long hair. She was wearing a white t-shirt with glitter on it, and she was really pretty. As soon as I finished, she responded, "How did you know the detail of that girl? I've been having odd dreams about her for a long time now." I responded, "Why don't you tell me what your dreams are about?" She answered, "I dreamed that my husband and I went fishing and that I was leaning on the side of his shoulder. Then I looked behind us and there was a girl looking at us, and it turned out to be that lady." I told that daughter-in-law to come home tonight, and she agreed as we hung up the phone. My sister started prepping joss paper, incense, and candles for me. Luckily, I checked my bags and remembered that I had packed some blessing strings to tie on the couple. It was starting to get late into the night, but the son and daughter-in-law still aren't home yet. As soon as they opened the door, though, this girl was already to the side of the son, holding his left hand. I could see her long black hair and her head leaning on the son's shoulder. They both started walking towards me and sat down on the sofa. I looked over to my older sister and told her, "It doesn't seem like she's going to let him go willingly. She said that your son married her. That's the reason why she's here." My older sister filled up with rage as she stood up and grabbed a broom. She used a broom to try to sweep the attachment out. The older generations believe that you can use a broom to sweep out bad entities that stay in the house. I think that it will work for weaker level entities, but not for strong attachments like this one. After my older sister used the broom to sweep the son, the female attachment was still standing next to him. I told her that it wasn't working and that the entity already said she won't leave since her son already married her and brought her home. I said to my sister, since he's the one that brought her here, then let him be the one to tell her to go away. I turned to my nephew and told him, son, tell her that you will not marry her because you don't know and you weren't the one who brought her here. Also tell her that you're human and she's a spirit. You live in the waking world where she lives in the spiritual world, and that you can't even see her. Only she can see you. So you aren't willing to marry her, and that your wife is the one who's next to you only. I also turned to my daughter-in-law, who's his wife, and told her, yeah, you have to tell her too that this is your husband and that you're not willing to let him go or let him marry anyone else for her to leave. My sister added on, once you're both done saying that, then spit, like pee, then say you are both happily married and don't want her here. As soon as they were done telling her and spitting, then I looked at the entity and saw her move her arms and took a couple steps back. I said to the dragon girl, take a look. They don't even claim you. You came on your own. They can't even see you. They don't know that you came. They don't claim you and that they already have a happy marriage. You should turn back. I watched her slowly step away towards the outside. I told her, keep going. Keep going and all the way to outside. As soon as it stepped outside, I told my hluas to fence off my sister's house and ward it so that she can't come back in. I told her to leave and to not come back into their house. Once all that was done, I took out my 2 blessing strings and tied it on each of their hands. They mentioned that they also work, so I tied another string on each of their ankles. After I finished tying the strings to them, the daughter-in-law told me, I have dreamed of this girl for a long time now, Auntie. Every night when we go to bed, I would feel like she put something on top of me, or I would feel like I'm being sat on all the time. It would also try to push me off the bed or push me to the side so that she can sleep next to my husband. But I would always refuse. Sometimes I would even dream of her being in the middle of the forest with her back to me, but I would never see her face. I said to them, the dragon girl was not a loyalty or wealthy one, and according to her clothing, it looks like she was just a citizen. But can you both think of a time when you argued at the lake? They both said no. I asked again, can you think about a certain time of when maybe you guys were arguing because she said that son was sad and said that he doesn't have a wife? The daughter-in-law thought about it again and said, yes, I remember now. There was this one day we got into an argument prior to going fishing. When we arrived at the lake, we grabbed our 2 fishing poles from the car and we were heading, just about to head to the lake. But all of a sudden it started to get dark and windy. We got scared and something inside of me just didn't feel right. So I told him for us to go back home. Ever since that day, my husband started acting different and off and would always want to go to that lake, whether we're fishing or not. I think, I think that's right, because, ever since then too, I started to dream of this girl and started experiencing, like the sleep paralysis or the pushing off the bed or, getting scooped to the side during the night times. And honestly, even when I didn't let him go to the lake, he would go anyways. I then responded, see, so it is what I said, right? Well, going forward, don't ever go back to that place again. It was getting kind of late, so we all headed to bed that night. The following day, my sister said to me, when you get home, please take a look of the issue and make sure there's no more ties or anything missing. I responded, okay, once I get home, I will take a look and, make sure I didn't miss anything, or if there's anything that I miss, I'll let you know. My son and I stayed there for a couple days, then we came back home. When I got home, I lit some candles and incense sticks for my shrine and went back to take a look at my sister's house and her son. I went to speak with the dragon girl again. She said that she refuses to let go and that if they really want to get rid of her, then they would have to find a husband for her. If not, then she will not let them have a child. I told her that's fine and that they would find a husband for her in a year's time. I called my sister to let her know of the negotiation and for them to start preparing for it. My sister went quiet for some time and they never got to doing the ceremony. The way to fulfill this wish or negotiation is you would have to either buy a doll or cut out a doll-like shape from Jaws paper and burn it for them. The doll will turn into a human-sized figure and become their spouse. We actually have a previous story of something similar to this in our channel, so I will put that into the bio if you're interested for more details. After almost a year's time, it's now March, they still haven't done the ceremony for my nephew and daughter-in-law. One day, the dragon girl came back to me and said, "It's already time, but why haven't the humans kept their side of the bargain?" I was pretty upset too because they know of the incident and said that they would do it, but haven't done it. They also have experienced it and know that it's very real, so I'm not sure why they're not taking it seriously. And honestly, if they weren't going to do it, then they should have just sent me his shirt so that I could have done it for them. But instead, they decided to stay quiet. At this point, I was pretty speechless and I didn't know what to do or, say to her. So all I said to her was, please be patient and wait for the year mark, which is in May. And if they still don't fulfill their side of the bargain, then you can do whatever you please. As soon as I said that to her, I turned into a big dragon, which startled her, and she became frightened of me and quickly went back into the water. And then she also said, "Oh, never mind, I don't want anything anymore," and just disappeared. Ever since then, she never came back to me about the situation. My sister never did a ceremony either. And even to this day, my nephew and daughter-in-law still have not been able to conceive any children. I'm not sure if it's because the dragon girl isn't allowing them to not have children, like how she said before, due to them not fulfilling their promises to her, but that's all I know, and I never checked back with them on it either. And that's the end of this story. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you like this story, please like, comment, and share so that other viewers may find this channel. If anyone has any true stories that they would like to submit, please message us. Our email is in the bio. I will see you in the next episode. Thank you.